Yo, what's up guys, it's TBAG and I'm bringing it back, okay? I'm bringing the top 5 series back. I used to do it quite a lot actually back in the day, as you can see.
Yo, what's up guys, it's TBAG and I'm back with another top.
Shut the f.
Yeah, they weren't that good to be honest, but now I notice people are very interested in some cool topics. Last time we did the top 5 hardest guns to unlock in Battlefield history. A lot of you guys enjoyed it. Today we are taking a look at the top 5 most annoying indirect weapons in Battlefield. Now what I mean by indirect weapons is basically anything that can kill you without really having a direct line of sight, or anything that can't be countered. You know, in a gunfight you have a direct line of sight of each other and whoever has the best shot usually wins the gun battle. With indirect weapons, as I said, it's mostly the other way around and you'll notice that they often don't require a lot of skill to use. Now that being said, I'm not trying to say that if you use any of these weapons that you are a bad person or anything like that. This list is just taking the perspective of the people who are getting killed by these weapons. So without further ado, let's start with number 5. On number 5 we have the Mortar Gadget, and I think a lot of you guys will agree with me that when you get killed by one of these, it's often very infuriating. Now there are a couple of reasons why. First of all, the mortar is pretty much the epitome of indirect weaponry. And the way it works in Battlefield 1 is you play as the support class, since it's a support class only gadget. You place it on the ground and you fire away. Now the thing that makes the Mortar Gadget so powerful is that you get an expanded minimap that shows all of the spotted enemies. Now you can imagine on maps like Argonne Forest for example, enemies are often tightly together. If there happens to be a friendly scout player that fires a couple of spotting flares into the air, you pretty much see the entire enemy team on your minimap. From that point on, you just fire away and ranking up easy kills. It also doesn't help that when you fire a shell, the camera follows that shell and gives you an even better overview of the situation and the enemy's position. Fun fact, the mortar in Battlefield 1 used to be way better. Now as you can see, you have to wait a little while before your mortar shells lands accurately. This wasn't the case at launch. You could pretty much just spam fire this freaking mortar at your enemy's position and you will always get a perfect hit, as it's always pinpoint accurate. After you fire the 5 shells, you need to wait a little bit before you can deploy another one. Now the mortar in Battlefield 4 worked a little bit differently. You see, it was obviously still an indirect fire weapon, but in Battlefield 4 they took it to a whole new level. For example, in Battlefield 1 you had to operate your mortar manually, meaning that if the enemy saw your mortar, they also saw you and they could shoot you. In Battlefield 4 however, the Mortar Gadget was remotely operated. That means that you could just deploy the mortar in a certain position, fall back and hide, and then still use that mortar. As you can imagine, it was pretty much impossible to counter this. Also in Battlefield 4, the mortar could fire way faster, which is obviously really annoying. I'll let you guys decide which mortar was more annoying, the mortar from Battlefield 1 or from Battlefield 4. On number 4 we have the Mortar Strike gadget from Battlefield Bad Company 1 and Battlefield Bad Company 2. The thing with this gadget is that it is like one of the laziest way to get kills in Battlefield, period. It's like you grab your magical remote, point it at a building or anything for that matter, and call Zeus to rain down hell on that specific spot.
Hello.
What's up man, can you please take a dump on these guys?
Hey, what's up, T? For sure, man. Anything for you, bro.
You don't need to position yourself in a tactical way, like for example the mortar had a max distance for the shells to fire and you actually had to aim and adjust every time you shoot. Granted, it was easy as hell, but this is even more cheesy. What makes these indirect weapons even more annoying, and this goes for all weapons on this list, is that you don't even get a warning or anything. Like for example with the cruise missile in Battlefield 4, you at least get a heads up to get out of there before impact. With these weapons you don't even get that and it's like really annoying. Next up, on number 3 we have Claymores, or Tripwire Bombs, or Trip Mines, however you want to call them. They are freaking annoying. You place them, you go away, never think about it again, and 9 times out of 10 if you place them smart, you'll get a free kill. On games like Rush or in small places that are heavily crowded, these things are one of the most annoying ways to get killed in Battlefield, especially in Battlefield 4. You see, in Battlefield 4 you had a Claymore. They are to be placed on the ground, and once deployed, they shoot out this tripwire, 3 of them, which are very hard to see. To top it all off, they do 100 damage, pretty annoying. And in Battlefield 4 they are for the support class as well, so that means that you can resupply yourself and place a new Claymore every time the other one exploded. In Battlefield Hardline you had these trip mines, which functions the same as Claymores in Battlefield 4, as they also do 100 damage. Also you get 2 of them. Also you can place them on any surface to make them even harder to see. In Battlefield 1 they wanted you to have a choice. You can choose how to piss off your enemies. Do you want them to instantly get killed with a regular boring explosion? No problem, take the high explosive variant. You want them to be a bit more annoyed by the Tripwire Bomb? Take the gas variant. You want them to really suffer, like uninstall the game? Then the incendiary variant is the right choice for you. Luckily in Battlefield 1 they are only for the scout players and not for the support players.
And to also mention Battlefield 5, yes, in BF5 you also have Tripwire Bombs. They come in the form of bouncing betties. They work pretty much the same in terms of how they are activated, simply by touching the wires, and when that happens they shoot up, killing you in one blow. However, because they shoot up, you do have a brief moment to go prone and avoid damage altogether, so if you are fast enough, you can actually counter it.
On the number 2 spot we have something very similar to the Claymores and Tripwire Bombs. AT mines. And let me tell you why getting killed by an anti-tank mine is even more annoying than getting killed by a Claymore or a Tripwire Bomb. See, getting killed by a Tripwire Bomb is very annoying, as we already have discussed, so you might think, let me get into an armored vehicle, that way those stupid Tripwire Bombs can't really hurt me. Yeah, you get my point, like it already takes a while to get your tank to a specific location, let alone spawning in your vehicle of choice, since it's often being hoarded by other players. So when you finally do manage to get a tank, you know, maybe you spent several minutes in the spawn menu trying to get one, getting close to the objective or whatever it is you're trying to get to, only to get blown up by a cleverly placed AT mine. Now you're back at the spawn menu and you have to wait again for your vehicle to spawn. In Battlefield 4 you had thermal vision on a lot of vehicles, so spotting AT mines and M2 slams was way easier in that game. In Battlefield 1 however there is no such thing, you have to keep your eyes peeled at all times, which makes it even more annoying. Now before we go to the number 1 spot, here are a couple of honorable mentions, or should I say dishonorable mentions. First off we have the laser designator from Battlefield Bad Company 1. I remember the meta for this gadget back in the day and how it changed every now and again. This gadget lets you paint targets and gives you control of a missile dropping from the sky. This missile would do crazy damage on impact to enemy armor, but they would also be warned before impact. So what players did was they painted a different vehicle next to their target so they would not be warned and they wouldn't move before impact. Pretty clever and pretty annoying for the ones on the receiving end. Another dishonorable mention is the cruise missile from Battlefield 4. Only the commander could call in a cruise missile if your team managed to cap a certain flag in Conquest. Again, a warning would be prompted to the enemy players within the blast radius of the cruise missile, so they have a chance to get away. It's mainly annoying because it's so insanely powerful. Also on the dishonorable mention list is the Suav Gadget for the Recon class in Battlefield 4. This small surveillance device could be thrown into the air to scout the area and to paint targets for friendly lock-on weapons. But soon people would figure out that it's best used against enemy infantry, as it was very easy to roadkill people with it. I think it got nerfed shortly after, so it would explode on impact with the first enemy infantry, but as you can see by this clip, before that it was very effective and very annoying to be on the receiving end of it. And before we head over to the number 1 spot of the most annoying indirect weapons in Battlefield history, I gotta mention the home-based auto AA cannons. Although nobody would be credited with the kill, it was one of the most annoying things to get killed by in Battlefield 4. If you had a dogfight with someone and they would return to the home base, 9 times out of 10 you would be torn to shreds by that AA cannon if you were spotted. Really annoying. But now for the number 1 most annoying indirect weapon in Battlefield history, according to me, it's again a Battlefield 4 gadget. It's the UCAV or the UCAV. This thing, and I think a lot of you would agree with me, was probably the most annoying thing to get killed by back in Battlefield 4. Basically how this thing works is you play as the support class, since it's a support class only gadget. You place the tube somewhere on the ground. The Unmanned Combat Air Vehicle, or UCAV in short, would shoot out of this tube, and from then on you can fly this thing by yourself. After you see your target you just crash near them, It would explode on impact and you would get an easy kill. It had a 10-second flight time or something like that, but this thing was flying so fast that it wouldn't really matter. People could not escape it. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the explosion itself was extremely powerful, so you could just explode this thing near an enemy and they would die easily. You could also unlock the airburst upgrade, which lets you explode the UCAV in mid-air to make it even easier to farm kills. As you can see by the clips in the background, this was such an effective way to kill loads of enemies, and it wasn't really a surprise that it would receive a big nerf. The state that it's in right now is so that you cannot deploy the UCAV within like 1 minute of you respawning, so you actually have to stay alive a little while before you can use this thing. Now almost nobody uses it anymore. But yeah guys, this was without a doubt the most annoying indirect weapon in Battlefield history. It didn't take much skill to operate it since the blast radius was so big and powerful, and I think a lot of people who got to experience this would agree with me. Are you one of those people? Let me know down below in the comment section. Like the video if you enjoyed watching, that always helps me out a lot. Subscribe with notifications on if you haven't already. And with that being said, I see you guys next time.